The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
A number of years ago, I was in a camp, Camp Toras Chesed. The camp was in Swan Lake, New York. Eze Simcha, a yeshiva bocher, able to study and to learn in camp just like it would be during this month in the yeshiva. And the Rabbeim were there. It was a Gan Eden. It was something so special. Shabbos. It was in the afternoon, early afternoon after the Suda. And I had gone on to the lawn, the huge lawn of the camp. And I sat there on one of the lawn chairs. I had a sefer. I was learning. I was learning near the road. Not on the road, but near the road. All of a sudden, a young man was walking, comes in from the road, and he says, "Excuse me, could I ask you where such and such a hotel is?" And I told him, yes, you have to go down this road. It's quite a distance. It takes about probably an hour to go there. And he continued talking with me. I realized immediately it was out of the Tchum Shabbos. There's only so far you're allowed to go. And I had the question, should I tell him? Should I not tell him? Don't forget, sometimes mutar liyot shoigigin. It's better not to say the halacha if the person may not listen, and at least they will do it accidentally, b'shoigeg, and not b'mezid, not wittingly, not on purpose. However, there was a certain ehrlichkeit about this young man. I had the idea that perhaps I could tell him, although I didn't know what he's going to do with that information. So I said to him, I tell you my name, and I told him my name. I introduced myself, and I said, would you mind if I share something with you? He said, no, sure. I said to him, there is such a thing as Tchum Shabbos. He hadn't heard of it. I began to explain to him some of the specifics and the details of Tchum Shabbos. And I told him the hotel that he wishes to go to is outside of the Tchum. He never heard of it. He was interested. I told him, if you would like, we can go into the Beis Medrash camp. I can take out the pertinent Sifrei Halacha, and we can learn through the sugya together. He said, well, I tell you the truth, I got a little bit of time, I could learn. I take him in. I sit down with him in the Beis Medrash. I begin to learn with him the sugya. He begins to be enlightened, something he never knew about Tchum Shabbos. He sees it black and white. He sees the halachos. And he realizes he is going to have to make a decision that little did he know was going to impact on his entire life. He said, what do I do now? I said, well, if you like, we have a very nice camp here. You could remain Shabbos in camp, and afterwards I'll make sure that we have arrangements to take you where you need to go to. He thought about it. He said, let me talk with you for a while. We talked. He decided he is not going to be over. He decided for the first time in his life, he's going to be careful in something that he learned that is brand new. And he stayed. He stayed through Mincha. He davened Mincha with the yeshiva. He went to Shalosh Shudas. How beautiful it was that he listened to the Bachrim singing and the Divrei Torah and the Rabbeim that were there. And he sat next to me. We were good friends by this point. He stayed for Mincha, he stayed for Shalosh Shudas, and then he ended up staying for Marav. 72. Rabbeinu Tam, we daven Marav. He thanked me very much. He took down my name, took down my address, my telephone number, and he left. I always wondered about him after the summer. Such a great guy. Stayed, Mesiras Nefesh. And the summer ended up. I didn't see him a long time. Happened to be a year later, all of a sudden, I came in Long Island to say a shir. And the community that brought me in, there were a couple of minutes. I came early, couple of minutes that if anybody wanted to speak with me, they could. All of a sudden, I see a young man come over to me, yeshiva bocher, the Shem Tiferes, and he says, do you remember me? Do you remember me? I looked at him. And I said, wait a minute, Tchum Shabbos. You're the one that was Moshe Nefesh. He says, yes. And he hugged me. He said, I have to tell you the truth. When it came to Elul Zman, I realized I didn't know about Tchum Shabbos. I realized there was a lot of other things that I also might not know about. I took off time. I went to Eretz Yisrael, and I learned through the year, and I was able to steig. I cannot thank you enough for telling me of the halacha. I cannot thank you enough for enlightening me. It has changed my life. It has changed my course. My life has been bettered, and now I feel that I will be able to continue on as an emissary ben Torah. The mitzvah, hocheach tochiach es amisecha, to lovingly, with great care and concern, to tell your friend, maybe a mitzvah that they could do, or maybe an avera that they could distance themselves from. May we all have the schus, and that is, as Hillel said, Ohev Hashalom, always love peace and pursue it.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org